called meeting. The main purpose of our meeting is to review our proposed budget for 2024. Our fiscal year does start July the 1st, so we are required by state law to have a balanced budget, and we take that very seriously. We have our finance committee that's been working on this. We do have agendas for anyone in the audience that'd like to grab one. Are they on the podium there, Emily? They're on the back? Okay. So if you'd like to grab one, you're certainly welcome to do so. So the meeting is called to order. So gentlemen, you have the agenda before you, so I'll take a motion concerning that.
Motion approved.
All right, so we have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, Emily, I'm going to turn the show over to you for the budget presentation.
I will try to be as quick and as possible, Mayor and Council, but we do have a lot to review, so I'm going to take my time to answer any questions that you may have with the new agenda. Very pleased at the work that the Finance Department has done. Lisa and Larry has done an outstanding job making sure the budget is balanced, even though we had lots of changes midway. They were great team players in making this happen, and believe it or not, I never heard them complain one time. So kudos to them. Another special thanks goes to our council-appointed finance committee. Josh and Jack, both of them have an opportunity the way their appointment is set up to review the budget after I have a chance to sit down with all of the department heads and compile everything that they need. Strip that down for whatever may be fluffy and out there. These guys come in with a fine-tooth comb, they look at it, they're able to ask questions of why we did certain things, make recommendations that are looked at from all aspects. So I appreciate all that you've done in the work. We actually met twice. During this time, we met on May 1st and May 8th because we did have additional changes of not so much of the budget and the numbers changing, but what pot of money should we take funds from to make this thing happen for what we need. This is a long rolling thing. It kicked off in February by Lisa. She sent out the budget calendar to all the department heads to begin preparing their capital plan. We did something a little different this year. We did not request a one-year capital plan. We requested a 5-year capital plan. So we can make sure that aligns with our comp plan, our goals for the city, and everything else that entails. So the department has did a really good job at bringing a 5-year plan to us for review. March 22nd, the week of March 22nd, kicked off the department head meeting. We sat down and met with every single department head to hear the needs of their department, what they need, what's working well, what's not working well, to make sure they had everything they needed to be successful. So that brings us to today. You have a balanced budget in front of you. We are presenting the budget now in a special call meeting. We will have our public hearing at 5:30, and the budget will go up for adoption at the end of June at the council meeting. There we go. So just to capture a few highlights for you, we have is it not showing on your computer?
Mm-hmm.
Not on mine.
It's not on mine either.
Mine is good.
Mine's good, yep.
Well,
The important people matter.
We already know what it is, Josh.
Oh, is that what, it's just them two? Well, we can move on then.
Yeah, the rest of them.
So budget highlights at a glance. This year, we did put in a 2% cost of living for all employees. This will be should it be approved, this will be effective the first pay period of FY24, which is July 3rd. We are given a $1.8 million contribution to our GMA pension fund. The fund is currently 92.51% funded. This is up from 84% funded from FY23. The goal for that is to make sure that we get as close to 100% funded as possible so we can begin looking at other retirement options in the future, should that be a possibility that the council wants to look at. We do have plans to put in another $1.8 million into FY25's budget just to help with this. And I'll go over later in my presentation how fast this thing was called up by this additional contribution.
Just, Mayor, for your note, 7 years ago, we were at 56%.
Oh, yeah,
Thank
I
you.
remember
When you
those
first
days.
That's right.
When you first came
I
on.
remember those days, yes.
6% is a projected increase to medical insurance costs taken on by the employer. We will not have this renewal letter until August. It's kind of hard to budget for that. We look at our claims from last year and just kind of gauge on how we think we'll do. So we budgeted 6%. That actually starts in January, so it's a half a year for us. So this year's budget, the total budget, fiscal budget is $72.9 million for all funds. This is an $18.6 million increase from FY23. A lot of it is for capital projects. We have $9.5 million coming in, receiving from grants. The city will match 6.4% from SPLOST, and then $2.6 million will come in from the capital fund for equipment needs. You can go to the capital outlay in here to see exactly what equipment we're going to purchase. I will go over that here in the next couple of minutes, but just so you know, you can take a look at all of that. And I would like to remind the public that the budget is available for you to look at through the city clerk's office. You can request that Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. So with an increase in revenues and expenditures running under budget, we will end this year with a net gain in the general fund. The fund balance is roughly $13.8 million, and that's how we'll end the fiscal year. General fund reserves will only be used to maintain necessary equipment and the expectations of the citizens. For the cost of living, last year I will tell you we did not have a cost of living put into the budget. We did use ARPA funds to do a one-time payout for all employees, so I think it's very important that we recognize the outstanding work that our staff does in the community. The pension fund, if we want to break that down, the actuarial recommendation is $419,000. The additional contribution is $1.3 million that we will do to help us get closer to being fully funded. And then we have about $65,000 in admin fees to make the total of $1.8 million go into the pension fund. In FY23, in 2020, we were only 77% funded. This was the reason to start the additional funding. FY24, we brought it up to 84% funded. FY23, we brought it up to 84% funded. And then in FY24, we are stopping right now at 92.5% funded. So the additional contribution next year, we're hoping to get that closer to 100% funded. Once we are closer to being 100% funded, around FY26, you will see a drastic decrease to the general fund budget for this. We're paying $1.8 million. Will drastically go down to about $300,000. So we will see the benefits of that going forward. Also for the medical, we did budget for a 6% increase. This is approximately $1.4 million that the employer puts in for medical premiums for our employees. So the budget funds, this is just a capture of what it was last year compared to this year. This is all of our funds. It's the total budget of $72.9 million. Like I said, it's an increase of $18.6 million from FY23. With the capital projects, we have of that additional $18 million, $9.5 million will come from grants, 6.4 will be a city match, and $2.6 million will come from ARPA to help with capital equipment purchases. All funds are going extremely great. This is a good capture to show you that we are financially sound. It's a huge incentive to carry out our planned projects for the coming years. At the end of the presentation, I'll remind you of our 7 categories that we're focusing on as far as our roadmap for the city and how we'll get there. You will see a lot of those are built into the budget to help with that. Infrastructure is one, sidewalk connectivity, upgrades to Fullwood Park, paving, and equipment that is needed to perform our job efficiently and effectively as possible. Right now we have multiple forms of equipment that are down, from lawnmowers to huge heavy machinery. It's very important that we either get those fixed or get a new one in so we're able to carry out just the daily tasks that we have as the city and that we offer to the community. This is a rundown of our grants. Councilman Folk asked this a couple weeks ago. We were going over an agenda item and he mentioned, do we have a running list of the grants, and are we keeping track of that? We're definitely keeping track of that. Lisa has gone crazy with it. But I'm a firm believer that if the money's out there, we need to apply for it. Yes, there's a match with the city, but this is an opportunity for us to not just have a normal version, but to go above and beyond and give the citizens what they deserve in the community. So this is a list of all of the grants that we've either applied for and have been awarded, or we are looking to apply for with a city match. As you can see, some of them do not have a city match. We use those quite often to buy wellness things, have activities for the employees, lunch and learn, so we can focus on wellness, safety, and well-being. Does anybody have any questions about the grants? This is the overview of the general fund revenues. Now, we are budgeting for $19.7 million in total revenues. 20% of that will come from local option sales tax. 27% of that will come intergovernmental agreements, intergovernmental. 18% of that comes in as property tax, and then the rest just adds on to the pot that we're able to use for the expenses that we have within the city. And then on the right-hand side, you can see the broken down chart, a visual of how these funds are coming in per fund and revenue. All right, so this is our overview of general fund expenses. The growth in the budget this year is signs. They are great signs of economic development within the city limits, population growth within the city limits, and unfortunately, inflation. What we could have purchased 2 years ago, we can't purchase for the same price now. You can add a couple $1,000s to it. So that is another reason that you see an increase in this budget. Just a little bit of history, FY22, the general fund expenses was $15.3 million, FY23 was $16.1 million, and we'll come in this year at $19.7 million, with the reminder of the grants that we've applied for is built into here. With this, we've discussed medical insurance premiums. We're budgeting about 1.4. This is the employer contribution. Workers' comp has done really great over the last few years. We have really focused on safety, helping with preventable accidents, coaching employees as far as safe methods, what can they do, not always running to the ER when they have a workers' comp issue, and working one-on-one with them. So our current mod rate for workers' comp is 1.04. This is unchanged from last year, which speaks volume. Or roughly $222,000. Property and liability insurance, again, impacts all budgets in the general fund. We have an increase of 1.2%, which is roughly $4,000, not too much to worry about, but the total annual premium is $342,000. And then the capital outlay is also built into this, so things I want to call out. The fire truck is in the budget. Another example of inflation, we have ordered a fire truck through the company, and it was about $680,000. And we had a call, and they had one that was built before everything went up, and we were able to lock that in at a much lower cost that really helped us. So that's just another prime example of inflation. But the fire truck is built into the budget. We have police vehicles and equipment coming in about $490,000. IT will spend about $180,000 for server and system upgrades, network hardware, and hardware replacement. This budget is also inclusive of a brand new marketing department. It is very important to get our word out to the community and to the citizens so they know what's going on. We can spotlight the great things that we're doing within the city. So we thought it was very important to add a marketing department to our budget. And then another capital outlay, public works, we have equipment, sidewalk replacement and connectivity, traffic signal upgrades, which would come in about $2.2 million. And then on the right-hand side, you can see the visual of how everything is broken down. The overview of enterprise fund budgets. This is basically the best way I can describe it. Our enterprise funds is a single-handed operation. The enterprise funds kind of act alone in its own sense that they should be able to generate revenues and maintain their expenditures kind of on hand in hand. So just a reminder, we do have 3 joint funds with the county. That is water, sewer, and solid waste with the landfill. The gas enterprise fund is completely separate. The water enterprise fund, again, this is a joint fund with the county. We do have multiple projects planned for water line upgrades that will come from ARPA funds. And then we're in our planning phases of the federal mandate to replace lead and copper lines. There's nothing we have to do until after 2024, but we want to go ahead and start looking at the impacts financially that's going to make for the city. So we're in the early phases of that. This fund also received an increase to the water rates effective January 1, 2023. This was to meet the needs of capital projects for infrastructure, equipment needs, and rate equalization with county residents. As you can see, this is a balanced budget. The water fund capital projects for infrastructure, we're budgeting $1.4 million. For equipment, we have $349,000 we have budgeted. Some of the equipment that we're looking at purchasing out of this fund, and SPLOST, would be 3 vehicle replacements, a ground penetrating radar, hydraulic pipe saw, aerosol, street saw, chemical tanks, and mini excavator. This may not sound like a lot to you, but when you have guys in the field that use this every single day, this is a lot to them. The next is our sewer enterprise fund. Again, this is a joint fund with the county. We have a steady erosion of operating margin over the past several years. We took a look at that, and as well as the water, the sewer received an increase on January 1st, 2023 to meet the needs of future capital projects for infrastructure and equipment. Again, this is a balanced fund here. The equipment capital projects we have planned is $515,000. We have 2 vehicle replacements, a forklift replacement, a tractor replacement, and a field jimmy replacement. For an infrastructure project here, we also have improvements that are planned. It's about $600,000 for a lift station near the Agorama. The gas enterprise fund. So this fund stands alone. This is not a joint fund with the county. Gas prices are monitored monthly by our finance team, and we keep a constant price. We keep up with a constant fluctuation of the price. Gas sales for the coming year are projected to be the same. However, the gas fund continues at a flat rate. So we are not seeing any increases. We actually have a couple months that we actually see our fund go into the red because gas just isn't used that much. We have not looked at gas rates since 2010. But with this, it is a balanced fund. The gas fund capital projects equipment would equal about $120,000, meter replacement $250,000, and then system improvements $405,000. With this, we're hoping to have 1 vehicle replacement, a trencher replacement, a GIS mapping project, which is very important and will help with the federal mandated of replacing the copper and lead lines. That comes in at about $80,000. Gas system upgrades would be about $290,000, and then gas line replacement, we have that budgeted at $115,000. We are currently in the process of running a project for a gas line extension to the new Orgill plant that they will be putting out. With that, it's $101,000 that will go back into the infrastructure of the fund. We also took on-bill financing with the gas fund to help promote gas services with us. And then you will see in the very near future, we will be bringing gas rates to the council for review. The Solid Waste Enterprise Fund, this one is a joint fund with the county. We plan to expand the landfill with additional acreage. The current landfill has a lifespan of approximately 3 years right now, so you guys approved permitting. We have started the permitting phase. Very soon you will see property acquisition come before you so we can expand and provide the community with the service that they deserve as far as solid waste and getting their trash somewhere at a reasonable cost. The projects we have proposed, we have land acquisition, site improvements, cost for engineering for the permitting, and then the water methane test, which is about $100,000. For equipment, we will be purchasing a generator, a dozer, off-road dump truck, and a tractor for the landfill. I would also like to remind you that the county is running a feasibility study on the landfill to see if the expansion is something that they are wanting to do, but they did approve for the permitting. All right, and then lastly, for the landfill, it's very important that we have the assurance for closure, post-closure, built up enough so we can do what we need to do should something happen. The landfill right now, the liability is the account is currently $9.4 million. After this year, with the funds we'll set aside, we'll be at $9.6 million for our post-closure assurance fund. All right, and then to wrap it all up, I just wanted to remind each of you of the guiding principles for Tifton's future. This was presented to you at the council retreat this year. It's our roadmap that will guide us for the years to come. With this does go hand in hand with the comprehensive plan. There are 7 guidelines to this for thinking about the future. Each category is a commitment for mayor and council to our residents, businesses, and partners as a platform of thoughtful review when looking at new projects, development priorities, approving local rules and procedures for operations in the city. Those categories is building great neighborhoods, enhancing historic downtown, economic development, connecting citizens to park and recreation, top customer service experience, services and improving infrastructure, and then lastly, leading with a cause. So all of these goals have fit in nicely with our budget. We had a few increases to make sure we get to where we are in the first year. Does anybody have any questions?
It didn't look like it. Keep going. You're doing good.
Oh, I'm done.
That's okay.
Okay. Well, that's all I've had. Again, I would just like to make it known that a review of this presentation and the budget is in the city clerk's office. That can be requested at any time, Monday through Friday, from 8 to 5 to the general public.
Okay. All right, and the specific details, we have all of that. Any questions, any comments? Again, I want to thank the Finance Committee and our Finance Department for working, and all of our department heads for working so diligently on making sure that the funds that we're entrusted with, like Emily said, are that we're frugal in what we do, but we're effective in what we do. So taking a very conservative approach, I think, has been very positive.
I'll just add one comment. Of course, safety's my thing. If you look, fire department and police department are 50% of the budget. So, you know, if you can't provide fire and police for a city, then you might as well just go on home. So 50% of the budget covers those two, which I think putting our money where our mouth is anyway.
Right, exactly. All right.
I want to thank Lisa and Larry for all their hard work. I mean, this is a very good budget, I believe, and I like the fact that each employee is finally getting a raise. It's well deserved across the board. Happy for the fire department, for the landfill, everybody. I think it was a good budget. Thank you guys for your hard work.
All right, and then this will be presented again at the 5:30 meeting, correct?
That's correct. It'll be a public hearing.
Okay. All right, well, let's move on. The next item on our agenda is a resolution providing for the honorary designation and naming of Dixie Avenue in honor of Dr. Homer Day. Was Dr. Day going to be here this afternoon? He'll be here at 5:30? Okay. All right, so we just need to vote on this now. Is that what we need to do, Jessica?
Yes, so, there's 2 things. He served on the Tifton Housing Authority Board for the past 30 years, and he rolled off this year.
Right.
And so we just wanted to recognize him. So the city's established policy, we used, I provided the application and the map of where we, would like to designate in his honor.
Right.
So it'd be Dixie Avenue from 4th to 6th.
Okay.
And the Housing Authority presented that to their board, and they're in favor. They own property on both sides of the road there.
Okay. All right, so we don't need to vote on this. We'll just
Yes,
present
you
this.
need to.
Oh, we do need to vote. Okay, I want
Yes,
to be
ma'am.
sure about that. All right, so I do have a copy of the resolution that will honor him, and then the naming of the Dixie Avenue is the street that's kind of behind the football stadium, where the Housing Authority property is. So I'll take a motion concerning these, this honorary information for Dr. Day.
Move to approve.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? So a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. And that's all we have for this agenda. Is there any reason, Rob, for an executive session following this meeting?
No.
There's none? Okay. All right, so, we finished very quickly. We've got an hour. So this meeting is adjourned, and we can come back at 5:30.